All right, welcome back to the Southsiders in the North End podcast. I'm trying a new setup today, so I've got my notes to this side. So if you see me glance this way, that's why. Camera set up over there. We're trying to improve as best as we can. So let me know what you think. We're gonna keep on keeping on. So just a quick thing. Title of this podcast is what just happened, just based on the past two games where we played LAFC and we played FC Cincinnati. Unfortunately, we got two of the hardest teams in the league in the same week. And of course, one of them was in the midweek. If we had LAFC on Saturday, Chicago on Wednesday, and then Cincy on Saturday, I think it's a very different week. I think we go out with a fresh, strong lineup on Saturday. We rotate on Wednesday, and we come back in with a fresh, strong lineup on Saturday against Cincy. Unfortunately, that wasn't in the cards. And honestly, I think we're going to be just fine. I saw something on Facebook today that talked about how we beat Austin FC, who are number 3 in the league right now. We beat Austin FC handily at home. We handled them pretty well. And then we drew them on the road where we outplayed them the entire time, but just could not get the finishing touch at that point in the season. They're third in the West right now, so anything can happen. We just need to start stringing them together, put some wins together in a row, especially at home. We cannot keep dropping points at home. We need to gain points on the road and stop dropping points at home. So, like usual, we'll start with the starting 11. We'll go to the subs. I'll do something brief on the goals because we as a team technically didn't score any goals. And then we will go to our I had a viewer comment, so I want to address that. So we went with this week. We had a 4-2-3-1 on Wednesday. I thought it worked out pretty well. We got beat on one play, and I think if Anthony Marcanic doesn't get his second yellow card, we're really in that game. We were pushing for a draw. We're pushing for a win if he doesn't get that second yellow. Weird call. I don't think if you're Anthony Marcanic, you should be in that situation, but I've seen a lot of people complaining about the referees, and I do believe that the ref got it wrong. That being said, you lose that game, you move on, you focus on Saturday against FC Cincinnati, probably the most well-rounded, if not the second most, if not the most well-rounded team in the league, behind Columbus or around Columbus. They're a really good team. So we shifted our formation from a 4-2-3-1, kind of limiting what we had going on in the midfield, to a 4-2-2-2. I'm not a fan of the 4-2-2-2. If you're going to run it, it should be more like a 4-4-2 or 4-1-4-1, so that you still have the type of just a central midfield help there. If we get into it, in goal, we had Roman Berkey, left back Nicholas Dewar, center back 1, Joachim Nielsen, center back 2, Kyle Hebert, right back Akil Watts, central defensive mid 1, Jose Kajima, CDM 2, Njablo Blom, right wing AZ Jackson, left wing Celio Pompeu, striker 1, Sam Adeniran, and striker 2, Joao Klaus. All right, let's get into some of the thoughts. Berkey would be my man of the match. Even though we didn't win, he would be my man of the match. If he's not there, we are losing that game 6-7, 8-1. It's not even close. Like, he made some huge saves that I don't see a lot of other goalies, especially in the MLS, much less world football, making, including the one that didn't count because of an offside call. I was sitting in the couch watching that and just, what the heck is he doing? I couldn't do it. If I was 3 feet taller, I couldn't make some of those saves. He is a special player. Left back, Nicholas Dewar. I was excited to see Nicholas Dewar in this game. That was quickly changed when it looked like the exact same thing that we were getting out of Anthony Marcanic with the lack of running back at any sort of pace. And he got beat. When he got beat high up the field. So that's a lot of room for him to not track back on. But when he was on the ball, he was really good at one-on-one defending. He shut down Lucho Acosta a couple times. He shut down their right winger. I don't remember his name, a couple times. He played the ball well and stayed on his feet. That's a big difference between him and Marcanic. Marcanic likes to go in for those slide tackles. Dewar stayed on his feet a little bit more, didn't get burned like that. But that being said, still did not look great on the defensive end when he got beat high up the field. Center back 1, Joakim Nielsen. Guys, I still believe he's the best defender, true defender that we have. And he showed why he's deserving of that starting spot on Saturday. He's so poised at the back. Some of the plays where he just takes the ball and finds an outlet pass when he's under duress and under pressure it's Tim Ream-esque. It reminds me of Tim Ream, but at a more not as high of a level. Just so poised and confident on the ball that you can just trust him to have the ball whenever he has it. He's not going to give it away easily unless he just boots it long. And he and Kyle Hebert, for the most part, nothing was happening down the center of the field. Nothing was happening through the center backs. It all kind of happened on that wing. And you'd see Lucho Acosta kind of slide out to the wing, and that's how he got kind of both of his assists and his goal. How he got his penalty kick to score his goal, which it's going to happen. You don't want it to happen all in the same game, but it's going to happen. Right back, Akil Watts. Don't get me wrong. I love Akil Watts. I just, with the 3-4-1-2 that Cincinnati run, I wish we would have seen Jake Nerwinski. I think Nerwinski's a better one-on-one defender. That being said, Watts is way better moving forward and up on the ball. And late in the game, he definitely showed why he was in the game. He was making runs. He was putting people under pressure, trying to help our attacking play as much as he could, even though it didn't quite pan out. I'd like to see Watts in there again. If we have midweek games though, because I don't think anybody should be taking that spot from Thomas Totland. Totland's a really good player. Like I said, I love Akil Watts. I just kind of wish we had somebody that was better at the one-on-one defending with Lucho and just the constant overloads that we had on the wings. All right, moving up into the midfield, we had Jose Kojima. That kid is so smart. Jose Kojima is so smart on the ball. I don't know what else to say other than he's smart. He knows where he's supposed to be, where the ball is supposed to be, where his run is supposed to be, so he can get the ball the best. Defensively, he's hard-nosed in tackles and tactically sound, just knowing where positionally he should be on the field. I think maybe not this year, but next year, the year after, we're looking at seeing him with quite a bit more playing time. I don't know where it will be, but he's so versatile that I think he could play anywhere on the field. Our other CDM was Blom. Still, even after being hurt for quite a while, the best ball-winning midfielder that we have. However, I don't think the lineup lended itself to allow Blom to play his game the way he wants to. He'd do better with like a Leuven or an Ostrak in there to progress the ball. Kojima does well to possess the ball, but when we get to progressing, it's not quite those line-cutting passes that we've seen Ostrak make, and we know that Leuven can do. That being said, defensively, he was a force and won a lot of tackles. We definitely missed having somebody who's going to put the work in defensively, strictly defensively, like Blom. Don't get me wrong, Durkin's been great. Durkin's been on fire, and I don't think that we should be taking Durkin out of the game. But he definitely held his own and played his part. Moving over to right wing, AZ Jackson. AZ Jackson, beginning of the game, AZ played really well. He was high flying. He was trying to get out in space, trying to put people under pressure. But as the game progressed, he looked like he kind of ran out of gas. He was hungry and wanted to contribute initially, and he ran out of steam rather quickly. AZ is one of those players where I don't know where he plays, where he would play best. Second striker, maybe. Maybe as a 10, maybe as a winger. His first touch is always good, and I don't think that's ever going to be a problem with AZ. It's that second touch and what happens after the second touch. I know around the fan base, they are not super happy with his too many touches. He takes a couple too many. He wants to dribble people on, take people on. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But sometimes he takes one too many guys on and misses up the pass to Sam or Klaus, or shoot even Thor at times when he's in the game, making those line-breaking runs. You need that ball to kind of find him. Moving over to left wing, Celio Pompeo. A down game for Celio. Didn't see much of the ball, and when he did, he was inconsistent and inaccurate. His touch did not seem to be there like it normally was, like it has been the past few games. There were a couple times where he did some step overs that he normally does, that he takes people on and does well with. Just did not have those this game. He got stuck pretty quickly and then had to track back. Not a great game overall for him, but still love the confidence and the drive he has and the confidence that Carnell has put into him. Moving up to our two attackers, and I'm going to preface this with, I personally am not a huge fan of a two-striker system and a gegenpressing, two-striker formation and a gegenpressing system. I think that one is going to sit and the other one's going to run, and they really need to be pressing together, kind of like you see Klaus and Indy doing. If Klaus is sitting like in that next level, Indy's pressing, and when Klaus is pressing, Indy's sitting in that next level. We didn't quite see that with this formation with these two. Sam Adeniran, same old Sam. I don't know how else to put it. He's super fast going forward on the ball. However, he doesn't get the ball off his foot quite fast enough. He wants to be the goal scorer, and I appreciate that. He's a striker. I want him to score the goals. He wants to be that goal scorer. But his shot, and I'm just going to preface one thing, his shot at the beginning of the game, he had Klaus running near post, and he had Indy running back post. And instead of cutting it back to one of them and trying the pass, which it could change the game completely in I think it was like the 5th minute, he tried a terrible angle shot that he scored on once. And I think any goalie would let the striker have that angle all day long. I do wish he would have pulled that back for Klaus or Indy. No, it wasn't Indy. It was Klaus or AZ was the other one running behind. There have been a few times where his big self was holding onto the ball, and then he got it stolen. I know he's different than Klaus. Klaus is more of the hold-up guy, and he's more of the line-breaking runs guy, but he's 6'5". You'd think he'd be able to hold on to the ball. His touch was inconsistent and continued to end the possession stints that we had from Cincy. I will say, though, he is always in the right spot to find himself in a dangerous situation. He has that knack of being on the defender's shoulder, so that if there is a through ball that finds him, he's in on goal. I do not think that this game, though, lended itself to Sam's gameplay. I think a game like, who was it? FC Dallas is a good game for Sam's gameplay, where they kind of hold a higher line. They want to press. All you got to do is kind of float one over the top and let Sam run onto it. I think that game style would be beneficial for Sam. Whereas when they're just going to sit deep and let him take and let him carry it, not quite the best game for a guy who likes to carry the ball straight forward and try and take those shots. But he's definitely sticking to his game plan. I think that's what coach wants from him. I can't, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, I'm not going to disagree with coach. He's a guy that knows what he's talking about more than me. I can just tell you what my opinions are. The other striker, Klaus. This is a game that Klaus is going to get a lot of slack from. He did not score, not many shots on the net, and did not take the best shots. However, Klaus is always consistent with setting the press and does his best to get in the way of passing lanes. He did well to possess the ball and hold it up for his teammates to catch up. However, that did not always work for City. Klaus ended with one of the highest touch numbers on the team and was able to pass and dribble into that final third. This is my problem with the two-striker system. We're paying both of these guys to score goals. However, Klaus is more of that 10 when we're playing a two-striker system. I'd rather have his 6'3" body in the box or making runs towards the box, trying to win head balls, rather than him playmaking and putting service in. It's my opinion. Doesn't mean it's the right opinion. Let me know what you think. If you think that Klaus being on the ball is better or Klaus being in the box is better. I think his hold-up play is beneficial, but I do think that him being in the box would be more beneficial in games like Cincinnati. All right, getting into the subs. At halftime, we saw Parker for Dewar and Ostrak for Kojima. Parker for Dewar shifted Hebert to the left based on the way Dewar was playing. I can see why this sub was made. However, looking back on the half that was played without Dewar, it seemed as though they were lost. I'm not sure if Parker was lost because he's used to being a starter and was not this game, but it looked a little odd. There was the second goal where Parker just looked lost. I don't know if he just wasn't used to the game, used to the style that since he was playing, was just not into the game quite yet. Lost his mark on the left side of him. Lucho just found that, slotted that ball in, and boom, boom, goal. I don't want to say it's going to happen, but I say that a lot. It's going to happen. You know, what we got to do is recognize that and make sure it doesn't happen next game. You know, next time Parker comes in as a sub, he needs to recognize that and not make that mistake the next game, if that makes sense. Ostrak for Kojima, I thought that was a smart sub, getting an experienced guy on the field. However, it also seemed like Ostrak was slow to get started, like Parker, and could not keep the ball in possession. Most other games, I think Ostrak does better, is able to possess better. Yes, I agree. I think that he still had over 80% passing percentage, which is just what Ostrak does. However, we weren't progressing nearly as much as we wanted to. I think that the formation didn't allow Ostrak to be able to turn and see Indy there, Celio on the left, Hebert on the left, or usually Marcanic on the left. So we were able to create those triangles and pass. Today, I think he turned and just had to slot it to Blom and let Blom take it from there. Whereas other games in the past, he's had more options coming out. In the 60th minute, we had Durkin for Blom and Indy for Celio. All I can think is Blom's was getting tired and needed a sub for fitness and is getting back to form. It's a like for like sub, but I wish that Blom could have stayed in. I mean, I don't think we gained or lost anything from that sub. We went from a ball-winning center defensive mid to a ball-winning center defensive mid. It was a good sub if you think about it, if Blom isn't quite to fitness. Indy for Celio. Indy keeps a streak and has played every single St. Louis City SC first team game ever played. He's been one of our best and most creative players on the field, and it was good to see him on the field. However, I could have thought of a few other players that I would have rather had him go in for. But at this point, it was more important that he got in the game. It's not important who he went in for, just that we got him in the game because he's been one of our more creative, one of our more dynamic players, especially on the press, especially on finding passing lanes. So last but not least, we had the moment that we've been waiting for a couple weeks. Edu Leuven made his first appearance back with the first team. Great scene to see, especially home. I'm sure the fans that were there have cheered him like no tomorrow. I can't wait for that moment back here at City Park. I do want to mention one thing about FC Cincinnati. I think it was a class act by them to wear the IL white armbands for his wife as in support. Leuven came on and did Leuven things. He tried to connect those passes, and you could see what he was trying to do. He's just not. I think he's a little bit rusty from being off for so long. We'll see it. He'll be back. I think Leuven will be back in full force, and I think it's going to be great. Goals, not going to bore you. Because all four of the goals, the 3 for Cincy and the 1 for St. Louis, were all scored by Cincy. I will say, though, that the Matt Miazga own goal was probably one of the funnier own goals I've ever seen, where he got a pass and had plenty of time to turn, just tried to play it right back and put it straight in the back of the net. I think if we would have capitalized on our very next chance after that, we're looking at a win this game instead of a 3-1 loss. Hopefully this Saturday we can score some more goals. and I can comment more on them, give you more of a rundown like I did last game. Two things to end our podcast today is a fan or a viewer comment. One of the viewers commented about Marco Royce, asking if we really have a chance, what I think. I think the Berkey video is fun. I think it's funny. I don't think it's going to help us at all. I'd love to see Royce. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to see Royce. I'd love to see him at as the 10 under both Klaus and Sam. I think he'd be good for both of them. I just don't think it's feasible. His salary would almost double our annual wage bill. We currently spend $12 million a year on wages, and I'm sure his would need to be close to 6, 7, 8 million, which would put him as a DP, and we'd need to buy out one of our DP contracts in Leuven. And we also have Roman Berkey as technically a restricted DP, so that we don't have to pay a fine. We'd have to buy out that contract, and he would then be able to, they'd be able to sign Marco Royce as a designated player. But as of right now, I don't see it being possible unless something huge happens and Lutz and the Kindle family want to pay for a guy like Marco Royce. I think it'd be good for the club personally. I just don't think it's very feasible this year. I think in the years coming, we might see some chances for a big name player. I think that especially with us acting similarly to like a Bundesliga fan base, a small Bundesliga fan base, we could attract some of those German talent, hopefully like a Marco Royce, but like I said, I don't think it's going to happen. I'd love to see it happen. He'd almost double our wage bill, just him showing up. And we don't know how many games he's going to play, how long he's going to play for. He's injury prone. I'd love to see it. I know I sound like a Debbie Downer. I'd love to see it, but I just don't think it's in the cards this time. And to end, if you guys are going to be at the Inside City tomorrow, make sure you stop by, say hi. I'm probably going to be in section, I want to call it 110, down on the right side of the area that we're allowed to sit in. That's usually that was where the goalies trained last year. If you went last year, stop by, say hi. But if I don't see you on Tuesday, I will see you all next week. See you later.